You know, some of the guys here that I work with were talking about some of the lesser known facts about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Some of the things that happened that proved to the people in the first century that Jesus did in fact resurrect from the dead and that He was the Messiah the people had been waiting for. And one of the things that we talked about is in Matthew chapter 27. Now Matthew chapter 27 and verse 45 talks about Christ's death on the cross. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness over all the land. So from 12 to 3, it was pitch black in the middle of the day. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, why have you forsaken me? Likely appealing back to Psalm chapter 22, which is the Messianic psalm. Some of those stood there when they heard it said, this man is calling for Elijah. Immediately one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and offered him to drink. This likely would have been something in the first century they used as a mild painkiller. And the rest said, let him alone. Let's see if Elijah will come save him, mocking the Christ. And Jesus cried out with a loud voice and yielded up His spirit. Then behold, this is what happened. The veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked, the rocks were split, the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints that had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the graves, after His resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. Now put yourself 2,000 years ago in the first century. Let's say you have a friend, let's call him Bill, and Bill has died. That's probably not a good Jewish name in the first century, but let's just use it. Let's choose Saul. So you have a friend Saul who's died, and you're trying to figure out if this guy Jesus Christ is the Messiah, and all of a sudden you're walking around in Jerusalem and you see your buddy Saul who's died years ago, and you're like, Saul, is that you? Hey, Aaron, it's me, Saul. Saul, you're dead. Yeah, Jesus resurrected me from the death. If you think about this thing, is this not mind-boggling to think about the fact that these people coming out of the graves, the bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the graves after His resurrection went into the holy city and appeared to many. Look at verse 54. So when the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and the things that had happened, they feared greatly and said, truly this was the Son of God. Did that centurion see people that he had known that had died? Maybe they're people he had put to death. I really don't know. It'd be speculation. But notice, these are signs, these are proofs, these are miracles that people in the first century saw. They could not deny that Jesus was the Christ. They couldn't help but believe, we've seen these signs, this points to Him being the Messiah. You know, 1 Corinthians chapter 15 talks about the resurrection. And 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 23 says this, but each one in his own order, Christ the firstfruits, afterward those who are Christ's at His coming. The Bible says that at Christ's second coming, just like in the first century, when Jesus conquered death and resurrected, just like in the first century that those people raised from the dead, at the end of time, every single grave on the face of the earth is going to empty. In 1 Thessalonians 4:16, we're going to rise to meet Christ in the air. And as John 5:28 and 29 says, we're either going to go to heaven or we're going to go to hell. And the question I have for you, not to try to scare you, but to get you to think about this, are you sure that you're on your way to heaven? Or is it possible you might be on your way to hell? If you would like to study that with us, we would love to have the opportunity to talk to you. Please send us a message, contact us in any way that you can, and we would love to have the opportunity to show you what the Bible says about what happens after we die. Thanks for watching.